Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with journalism graduate and podcast host Noah May. He is the host of Lethal Venom, a podcast centered around various topics where he speaks nothing but the truth. He is also an Auburn University alum with a bachelor's degree in journalism. In his free time, he enjoys listening to music, reading, writing, podcasting, watching YouTube, and spending time with friends and family. Working for his future goals has not been easy. He has dealt with mental health struggles since he was 13. From his base in Alabama, we get into a story full of grit and dreams coming true. Enjoy this interview. And I love what you're doing, so I'm looking forward to getting into it. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I can't wait.
Me too. So let's begin our journey with the question that I always start out with. I've tried to get away from it, but I can't. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing the world, changing so many levels of what we were doing. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you live and do things today?
That's a good question. I think for anyone that was living through the pandemic, it was just that year was just a horrible year for everyone. I think everyone was going through some really dark stuff, and I can't really. Music really saved me during that time. It was a kind of a look into being able to be just kind of live with it because I was 18 when it happened. So I was one of the COVID kids. So I was a senior in high school. So of course our graduation and our senior year kind of was really it was different. So it was just kind of living through a pandemic at 18 years old, something that I never thought I would experience and go through in my life. Um Music really helped me during that time. I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff and uh yeah, it really saved me during that time and just kind of focusing on mental health too. And just kind of to be able to kind of have most of the year and not worried about schoolwork at all was really it was such a good break for me. Um, but I have to say music was number one for me. It was how I got through that time.
Yeah. So you have a podcast now. Talk to me a little bit about if I was to put you in front of a bunch of kids on career day at a school, let's say they're 12 years old, and they want to know what you do for a living, what your day is like. How do you answer them?
That's good because I don't let me try to figure out how to say it PG without being explicit. But I would say for kids, I think I would approach it in like a general thing. So um I think I would tell them just kind of what I do for a living, like podcasting. Think of it as like journalism, but you kind of work for yourself. So it's kind of like, so it's sort of like you work for a TV station and you're doing interviews and broadcasts for news stories, but you're your own boss. You kind of have your own way of doing it. You don't really have to have a particular niche or you have to have like this guideline of okay, you have to ask these certain questions, you have to ask these kind of you have to stick to this kind of format. It's very much you have a carefree conversation and that you don't have to worry about if you screw up, if you worry about the guest talking too long. It's just kind of very much you have a really kind of laid back feeling. So it's not easy. I would say it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and effort in doing what you're wanting to do, but it is a fun career to have. It's just a lot of work that I think a lot of people don't quite understand.
So when you were that age, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
At 12 years old, I kind of wanted to be a meteorologist at the time.
Okay.
That was like a very brief, that was a brief little thing that I wanted to do. But I wanted to be a meteorologist at the time, and then I think it changed to wanting to be a doctor.
Okay.
So I was like stereotypical doctor, want to go down that kind of field and work, but then I realized I couldn't deal with vomit, so that was just like a immediate X. That was a immediately nope, I can't do that. So I kind of focused on that for a long, but it was between a meteorologist and a doctor at the time, and I think a veterinarian too. I think those three were kind of like in rotation of what I wanted to do at 12 years old.
So you ended up majoring in journalism, got a bachelor's degree from Auburn. Talk to me a little bit about growing up. What gave you this desire to ultimately get into journalism, podcasting, storytelling? How did all of those elements evolve to who you are today?
The major, when I was in high school, I think I was a junior at the time. Our high school was real forceful about trying to get you to really focus down on a major so that next year when you sign up for college, it would be an easy to go process. You didn't have to sign up and be like undetermined or anything. They wanted us to kind of really go ahead and decide what we wanted to do then and now. Well, I had no clue what I wanted to do at the time. At that point I don't know what I wanted to do. Um, I remember I watched a lot of daytime talk shows at the time. So I was a huge talk show fan. I would always see clips online. And I always would watch Ellen's talk show when I came home from school because it came on usually 15 minutes. It had been on for about 15 minutes after I had gotten home. So I always would watch it immediately after school. And one day I just kind of woke up and was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a talk show host. That's kind of what I want to do. I didn't know at the time what particularly major or like what kind of degree you would have to have in that. When I went to go research and looked into like what degree do you have to be a talk show host, I saw a recurring thing of journalism kept popping up. So I thought, okay, journalism, got my major. So I signed up with journalism, never changed the major at all. And it's been an experience of how to kind of go through life with journalism. It's not a easy field to find a job in. I will be honest, it's a really difficult field to be honest to find a good journalism job because most want 2 years of experience, whether that's a news writer, news station, a reporter, or anything that's just in the news field. They want you to have years of experience. Well, of course, I was a recent college graduate. I didn't have 2 years experience. I luckily had any experience at all. Um, and then podcasting kind of was like a way for me to kind of showcase that. So I've kind of have been living my dream through podcasting a little bit of being able to showcase my journalism skills from interview styles that I've adapted to planning to editing. So a lot of what I've learned from the classes have really adapted into the podcast show. So it ended up working out in the end, but yeah, it kind of just stemmed from wanting to be a talk show host. That's kind of how I got into journalism.
So, who's been an inspirational force or a hero in your life that's allowed you to live this dream and to do this work?
That's a good question. I don't really think anyone really inspired me to do podcasting. I didn't really have any huge inspirations at the time. Now for the talk show route, it was kind of Ellen, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, James Corden. Those were kind of who I always watched all the time of who influenced me to kind of be a talk show host a little bit. So I always was influenced by them. Podcasting, since I didn't really listen to many podcasts, I didn't really have a lot of influences and inspirations. Um, my family was real supportive of me being a podcaster. They were very hesitant at first. I think as any parent is with any kind of job that you go into that they're like, I don't think that's a good fit.
Yeah.
But it's been a good thing to kind of surprise them and be like, it's really paid off. Um, for the podcast, I don't really have really any inspirations, to be honest.
What was the first podcast you listened to?
Oh, the first podcast I listened to was what was it called? It was from a YouTuber that I was a huge fan of at the time, and it was her and her mom that did this kind of thing where it was internet news. They would look and kind of do like recap of what happened that week in the news on the internet, but it was kind of more that it really researched or do any fact checking on anything.
Yeah.
That was the first podcast that I fully remember listening to. It was also visually too, so I would always watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Their broadcasts, but that was to me that was kind of the first podcast I remember finding and actually learning about what podcasting was from that show.
So if you could have a dream guest on your show, anybody in the world, to sit down and interview them, who would you love to have on your program?
Oh, there's so many people. I don't know how to
You could have a
choose.
roundtable.
Oh, a round table would be nice. Um, I don't, there's so many people that I would have. Um, I think I really have never thought about this question. I think I would love to highlight like a lot of content creators on there. So, um, and there's so many good podcasts. Oh, you've really asked a good question. I could,
No, you're good. We could come
um,
back to it.
I would say a lot of the big podcasters out there that you see. I think Joe Rogan would be a good guest to have on because he has such a really good podcast. Um, a lot of good celebrities and musicians. I would love to have like my favorite artist to come on, Ariana Grande. I think she would be a good guest to have on the show. I think Dream would be made. I think any celebrity I had come on would be beneficial to me because I think it would kind of show that I finally made it, and I think people would be surprised. It would be huge, like, "Hey, I had so and so come on my show," and they're like, "No, you did not," and I'd
Yeah,
be like, "I did," and they're
yeah,
like, "I don't believe that," until the episode came out. Um, but yeah, I would, in terms of like, because essentially this has kind of been turned into my own talk show,
yeah.
which I didn't really plan for it to be, but this is kind of the closest I've gotten to that career choice. So really, anyone, any celebrity that would come onto my show or like any guest would be a dream come true, honestly. So anyone that's kind of well known in the public eye, I'm all for to have on. I think that would be like a good guest for me to have. So I can't really pinpoint exactly who, but
Yeah,
oh, there's so many that
yeah,
I could just list and name.
yeah, totally. So let me ask you this. You talked about music being a saving grace during the pandemic. What was the first live show that you saw that blew you away? First live concert experience?
Shockingly enough, I don't think I've ever been to a concert before. And I
Okay.
know that's crazy to hear. Um, but I've not had like the actual experience. But in fact, my mom a few years ago, I remember Pink was coming to perform at one of the arenas close to me. I think she was going to perform in Birmingham. And my mom and I were originally going to get tickets. She was going to surprise me, but she was playing on a school night. And it actually ended up, I didn't have any homework that night, so we ended up could have gone. So that would have been my first concert. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've never really been to a concert before,
Okay.
which I re no one ever comes to Birmingham
Right.
no one ever comes here to Birmingham for some reason. They always go to Atlanta, and we
Yeah.
hate driving in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so it we just not haven't had that opportunity yet, but I'm hoping to change that here in the future.
Absolutely. So, what is the motivation for you to do your podcast, to have your show, to live this dream of being in the talk show realm? What gets you up every day and motivates you to do this work?
To be able to kind of wake up and kind of have my own set schedule and kind of have like my own creative control is really important to me. Um, I've dealt with so much in my past life of heartbreak, and I've had a lot of heartache that's come into my lifetime. To finally have something really work out for me that it was something that I always wanted to do, and it was something that I was really destined to do. Feels really good to have because I think a lot of people don't have this luxury of being able to wake up every day, get in front of a microphone and talk and really be able to share stories. And being able to hear people's stories as well is what really keeps me motivated too. And being able to get these people to have come on my show and have their truth told, where they've been silenced most of their lives, they've been scared to share their personal experience. Being able to have a platform to where they feel comfortable in sharing and being open and honest, it really feels good and makes me really grateful to have this platform to have people come on and be open and raw with me.
What do you like the best about the podcast community? It's a very wide-ranging community, but what is it that you like the best about being in this world?
You kind of have good connections. I didn't really know how good of a connections you would have. I've met some of the best people through podcasting, and we still support each other to this day. Like they like my stuff, I like their stuff. It's a really close-knit community. You wouldn't think so because of how many, if you think about it, how many podcasts there are out there that are live, that are constantly posting and showcasing new shows to and new episodes of people, you never really assume that you would stay connected. You surprisingly do. And I've had some of the best connections ever. So that's what I really like. And they're really supportive too. They're real supportive. They are really like, oh, I'll do anything for you if you need me to. I'm here for you if you need support. And they are. I've never really had like a bad experience too with podcasting, which, you know, it's a field that you're bound to have like a bad guest come on, they ruin the whole show, and you have to then sit there and decipher of like, well, do I post it? Do I not post it? So it's it's a really close-knit family, and we always like to keep tabs on everything. So that's what I really like. It's very you don't only connect with them due to like the profession. You actually connect with them because they are a good person and that they do are real supportive. So I really love how the podcast community is real supportive of one another.
Yeah, I agree. So, what are you hoping happens with your podcast? Let's say we talk 10 years from now. Where do you want to see your podcast go?
That's a good question. I do obviously would like to have a more maybe a team help me because everything that I do is solo right now. Like everything that I do is a one man show. I do everything behind the scenes that you can think of that goes into podcasting that I do it and I've done it. Um, so hopefully having a team would be beneficial. I really would like to have kind of a more professional thing. So like it is audio. Hopefully in 10 years it will be video too, where I could have like the video version posted online as well. Um, but the only time will tell where the podcast really goes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Hopefully I am still doing the podcasting. If this was what I was meant to do for a career choice, I would not be mad because I have a really fun time doing it. It's not what I initially wanted to do. I never really dreamed that this would be the job I had. This was more of a hobby. I woke up and never would you have told me last year that by this time I would be a professional podcaster and would like, I always thought about being a podcaster, but someone could tell me, what if I told you that you would be a successful podcaster and that you would get paid to do it? I'd be like, I think you're lying to me.
yeah.
I would not believe them in the slightest about that. But it actually has really surprisingly turned out. So only time will tell in the future where my podcast will be. Hopefully, I'm still doing it because I really do enjoy doing this show.
For sure. So, of everything that you've done in your life and evolved to at this point, what are you the proudest of?
I think being a fighter and being able to not give up because everything has just been roadblock after roadblock. It's just been trauma after tragedy, and it feels good to finally be able to come out victorious in the end and be able to really come out and show that nothing got me down, nothing really affected me mentally too. So it was really I'm really surprised at how well I've done over this like to be able to get to where I am today. Um, it just feels really good. So being able to overcome it is something I'm so proud of myself for because I never thought that there were times where I thought, yeah, I'm not going to make it out of this scenario. I'm not going to make it out of where I'm going at, but I always have, um, and it's been the best thing.
So, let me ask you this: is the voice behind the podcast, the man behind the mission, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, all of your fans of your show, that you run the show, the proverbial show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
That's a good question. I don't know if I would actually, because everyone's going to have a different opinion of me.
Yeah,
People are going, people are going to listen to this and they're going to think, oh, I'm just the person that does interviews. That might be who I'm only known for. And that's probably who I will forever will be to some people as just another podcast that talks and does a lot of good, that does a good interview show. And that's kind of who I'm remembered for. That's not really who I fully am. At the time, I do have like a personal life, and I do have kind of a college degree, so I feel like I am also like a college graduate too. That I think I won't be remembered as really. Um, I don't know. It's a loaded question to really think about because people are going to have a different perception of me regardless of what I
sure.
say. So, um, so I kind of like to kind of keep it to where it is kind of more what other people would be like. I'll let them have their opinion of me. And if they and kind of keep it at that.
I totally get it. So if anybody wants to tune in to Lethal Venom, reach out to you. Any of the good business, I see all of the links up there. Those are the best places to go.
Yes, so the podcast Lethal Venom, it's available wherever you get podcasts from. I'm on really all the major platforms. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. If you have any of those platforms, the podcast is on there. And also on the socials, I'm on pretty much everywhere. You can Instagram and TikTok, I Lethal Venom Podcast for there. And then I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn too. It's my first and last name, Noah May, on there. And then feel free to connect with me on any of those platforms if you're interested in maybe wanting to come on the show. I'm always open to all and any guests. So feel free to just hit me up, send me a message. You can also send me an email, lethalvenompod@gmail.com. That's a good way to also reach me as well about being a guest too. And I'd love to have you on. But those are just essentially where everyone can find me is on those platforms.
Excellent. I will put all these links in the show notes. Noah, this has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for what you're doing for the podcasting world. It's great to connect. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was an honor to be on your show, and thank you for taking time to sit down with me. It was a complete pleasure. I had a great time.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, man, we're out. Hey, that's a great is that in Orlando there, Disney World?
Yes, it's in Disney World. I was
Cool.
like, let me be festive.
Yeah, I dig it.
I found this like style from like someone else I was a podcast on. I was like stealing it.
That's it.
It was like I'm stealing that, and
Yeah.
then but I kind of put my own twist to it. So I put my kind of everything kind of briefly on it, and I thought, I'm gonna change the background. So
Yeah,
next month it'll be a different background, but I'm trying to be a little festive every year.
I
So
dig it.
I thought Christmassy, so it's kind of I'm kind of indifferent with it. I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not a
It's
lot,
festive.
but
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
I'm only doing podcast interviews till next week, and then I have like a rest of the month off. So I only have to have this background up for just a limited time. So it's not too, I have to deal with it for about another week. So
Yep.
it's not, I don't have too much longer to go, but
Not a forever thing for sure. Well, Noah, keep up the good work, man. I will be following you. Thank you so much again for reaching out, and have a wonderful holiday and a great 26, man.
you're more than welcome. And thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.